So I've actually been practicing rope flow for a little over 5 years now, and a lot's happened in that time. I remember way back before I discovered rope flow, I was basically very injured. I was full of injuries, and at the time I was training very conventional type fitness training in the gym. I remember I was doing, your typical squats, bench press, overhead presses, these kind of movements. I was always very into fitness, always into various different sports like rugby, Muay Thai and the like. And I would always like to give myself that edge, over the competition. I would always do extra strength and conditioning in the gym. However, what ended up happening was I accrued several injuries over time, and this got to the point where I couldn't train anymore in the gym. I just couldn't do these exercises anymore. My body was basically wrecked, and I started to have some real issues with my knees. Walking and things like that started to become a bit of a problem. But it was around that time, just over 5 years ago, that I discovered David Weck and his training methodology and his whole approach to training fitness. I started to implement David Weck's methodologies and training style into my training. And slowly what happened was I started to notice these improvements, but the key thing that really changed back then for me was not so much physically at the time, but actually more to do with my whole approach to fitness training. My whole way I looked at it and the way I looked at biomechanics was completely revolutionized. I started from that point to look at the body as an integrated system, something that a system that needs to be respected, and not just these individual muscles that are responsible for our biomechanics and the way our body moves. So that led to many different improvements in my body and my physique over time. The first one will be the integration of all the different muscles in the body as one unit. This was really the first thing that started to happen to me. As a result of this, my body became a lot more supple, and my overall adaptability in movement kind of increased, especially when it came to discovering things like this, the flow rope. This tool has been absolutely incredible, and an incredible teacher in the sense of teaching the body to be resilient and agile at the same time. You can be quick on your toes with the rope. You can teach your body to be very quick to adapt, quick to move and react. Not only that, you can also develop a greater spatial awareness when training with the rope. Many of the exercises that you use when you train with the flow rope are actually brilliant for practicing when it comes to locomotion. Obviously, our body's ability to move around through space. The rope lends itself brilliantly to that. So ultimately, I noticed that I had greater spatial awareness in my training. And of course, when it comes to training with something like the flow rope, naturally you're going to have a balancing of the dominant side of the body and the non-dominant side of the body, just because of the nature of the style of training. Now, you can't really say this when it comes to the conventional style of fitness training. When you're doing squats in the gym and bench presses, overhead presses with 2 hands and things like this, you're not going to be able to balance the body out as efficiently. There's always going to be these compensations, and the dominant side is always going to overpower in some way. When it comes to treating the body as a whole and implementing tools such as the flow rope, you're going to notice that there's going to be a balancing out of both sides of the body. Finally, when we're training with the flow rope and other similar tools, you'll notice that there's a huge crossover when it comes to using, when it comes to learning the movements that you learn with rope flow into various other sports. For example, as I mentioned, I was into martial arts before, rugby, so running and martial arts, things like this. The flow ropes are absolutely essential for any martial artist, and really will come in useful for anybody who's into these kinds of sports. Not only that, if you're using other fitness equipment such as Indian clubs, for example, or the Persian clubs that you swing around, or you like to train with maces or kettlebells, or anything that you're swinging of that nature, then essentially the patterns that you would drill over and over again with the flow rope, they will help you with these other pieces of fitness equipment, because it's working on the same kind of system, the same lines. Imagining yourself on that compass for the cardinal laws, for example. All this comes into play when we're using clubs and kettlebells and various other things like that. So that's just a quick summary, guys, of how my body has changed in the last 5 years using the flow rope. If you want more information about these, check them out on the website rf1.co.uk and see how the flow rope can also change your body. Thanks for checking this video out, guys. I'll see you in a future video. Take care.